Greetings, Roboteers, and welcome back to Robocraft and to the Maximum Loadout update. Though I would, again, use the term expansion for this particular patch, given how drastically it has changed the lay of the land for the game. Probably, I know I've said this on the previous patch, and it is true again for this one. It has probably changed the game the most of any patch that has come before it. Now, you can see in my hand, or in my place tool, one of the new cubes that have been added. There are 2 new cubes, and there's one pretty enormous system change that has affected more or less everything about the game. Really, I'm not overstating it when I say this patch has changed everything. But let's take a quick glance at the new cubes that we've got. We've got the Disc Shield module. Now, both of these modules, the Blink module and the Disc Shield module, are around about 11k robo ranking and about 280, 290 CPU. So they're not cheap things to add. They also cost a fair old bit of money. We've got 10 million, 10.8 and 10.5 million for these. Now, I know that for some of you, that is going to be very frustrating because it's like, oh, this awesome new toy, but it's going to involve so much grinding in order to get it, and I certainly can appreciate the frustration there. I will probably leave the discussion about whether Free Jam should be adding lower tier stuff or higher tier stuff for another time, but understand that my personal position on it is that we've had a lot of very cool new stuff added to sort of the later tiers, both in level and cost, and not too much cool, awesome stuff added to the lower tiers or the sort of price range which newer players can afford. And I do feel a little bit sad about that. I do think that we're missing a bit of a trick with that, but that will be all that we're going to discuss about that particular topic in this episode. We'll save the rest of the comment section or for future episodes. Now, these modules, how they work. The Disc Shield module, as the name implies, drops a shield on the ground. In fact, let's quickly test that out. I've made a little spot at the back. Now, this we will talk about in just a moment. But let's jump into the test facility and I can quickly demonstrate how this disc shield works. We are going to have to wait for it to charge up. Oh no, we're not. Fantastic. Okay, so disc shield. Pump. It is a fusion shield. Works exactly the way a fusion shield works, in that I can shoot through it. The enemies cannot. So can my allies. Looks like it has a nice little effect to let me know when it's about to run down. You'll also notice at the bottom, though it might be a little bit harder to see, there's a little green circle running around my my hotkey for the Disc Shield module, letting me know when I can use it again. The same thing happens for my rails, but it's a lot faster, obviously. So let's see how far out I can put this. Ponk. That's the maximum range. If you're looking at the ground, it'll try to lay it on the ground at your crosshair, but if you're looking up, then it'll simply try and put it as far out as it can for your for that particular module. They have their own ranges, and that little tinkling sound effect often lets you know that your energy has recharged. That's the blue line on either side of my crosshair. It's letting me know that there's energy there and how much power we have. You can think of this as mana from an RPG. It's a regenerating source of energy that is used to use certain abilities. And it's going to be a long time before that charges up. Now, much like the fusion shield, I can shoot through it, my allies can shoot through it, my enemies cannot, but both teams can walk through it. So that's the fusion shield in a nutshell. Let's go back to the mothership and we will try out the Blink module next. Now, the Blink module is a teleportation module. Blink has a lot of history with various games such as D&D and various creatures that could blink from place to place. There we go. So that's where I imagine the name comes from. So there we are. There's the Blink module. Again, more or less the same cost, though a lot of connection points. And that's actually something I didn't quite touch on with the Disc Shield module. It looks like it has 6 connection points. It looks like the Blink module has the same, but they're all on on just 2 faces rather than all 6 faces as with the Shield module. You could easily build that Shield module into the very heart of your robot if that was your choice. Now, the Blink module allows you to teleport. It has a maximum range, much like the Shield module, and we will demonstrate this now by just trying to teleport somewhere where I know I can't reach. Ponk. There we go. Ah, I managed to pick the worst point to come out of there from. Alright. Can we get up there? No? Well, that's just annoying. How about... Oh, it's got a very long reload time on that. Egads. Okay. So the Blink module does have a fair old bit of time to recharge. Again, you can look at the ground and it will teleport you to that location, or you can just look into the distance and it'll teleport you as far as it possibly can in the direction you want it to go. Let's see if I can just get up there. Bonk. Not quite. Close. Close, but not quite. And we go back down. Thank you very much, Hoverblades, for making my descent nice and smooth and not so much landing on my head. I generally prefer not to land on my head, even if it's not my head I'm landing on. Landing on heads in general, it's just kind of unnecessary. Now, as you can imagine, both of these modules have very specific uses, and some of them stand out more than others. The Blink module, as you can probably guess, is going to be great for just moving around the battlefield. Oh, wow, that was interesting. It seems that legs don't much like suddenly being compressed due to the Blink module. Have to bear that in mind. But the shield, probably much more useful on a frontline combat bot, though it doesn't last for an overlong amount of time. You might maybe have it on a medic bot. But you might be asking yourself, what about a medic combat bot? Well, as it happens, some of the guns have had certain changes. Probably one of the biggest changes of all of them is currently all of the guns except for the nano have, and the missile and the flak at this point, because they've not changed. They were never hit scan. They were always an actual physical projectile, much like plasma. But both the lasers and the rails at this point use actual projectiles. The rail projectile is super fast. So you're probably not going to notice too much of an issue, but you're still at extreme ranges going to have to lead your shots a little bit. Lasers, though, very much so. They've lost their hit scan, but they have gained enormously on power to make up for that, because they're now a true close-range weapon, because it's going to be so hard to hit distant targets with the laser weapons, because the shots are not especially fast, and they do now have to travel, so you're going to need to lead your shots, shoot ahead of the thing that you're trying to hit, so that it drives into the oncoming fire, or flies into it, as the case may be. But as a result, much more powerful, because it's much more of a close combat weapon, which is what it always was meant to be. Rails, they now drill much more than the other weapons. They don't tend to spread their damage out from the point of impact. They tend to burrow, which is always how I felt the railgun should work. I'm really happy with this change, because if you can isolate a very important part, you can literally drill in there to try and knock it out. The plasmas, they are continuous fire. Let me demonstrate that for you. Let me grab a simple plasma weapon. We'll use the plasma bombardier. Get rid of these and just plop these on. Bonk. You know what? Let's just demonstrate something else. Now, the plasma weapons, they do actually fire in a continuous mode, but probably one of the other big changes. The biggest change is I can now do this. I can have more than one type of weapon on the bot. That is such an enormous change. You can have as many as you can fit on there. Well, as many as you can fit here. You can have 5 different assignments. Now, bear in mind, this is a bit of a caveat here. I've got the laser blaster here. Okay, you might be thinking to yourself, that's kind of cool. Not the best weapon. How about a laser vaporizer? You know, just to kind of squeeze the most out of the P-flops that we have available, because we got a little bit left over. Let's stick on a better laser gun. But that's the issue. This is nothing to do with it being a front mounted. Front and top mounted, they both fall under the same grouping. But weapons of the same type but of different marks do need to be put onto different groupings. So that's a bit of an issue. So, and when you cancel this, you press Z to bring up this dialogue, and when you X one of them, it removes all of those components off the bot. So do understand that at this point, it's generally going to be important to have all of the same mark of weapons, so the same tier of any particular weapon type. But, as I was pointing out, you can actually have all of these weapons on there. And it's glorious. Let's take this out, and I can demonstrate the lasers themselves as well as the plasma weapons. Now, as I was saying, the plasma weapons can just basically fire continuously. At this point, if you add more guns, you are going to increase the fire rate on pretty much everything, because most things fire in kind of a round-robin way. So let's actually start with the lasers. So there we go. The more lasers you add, the faster they're going to work. These have such an incredibly fast reload time. oh sorry, an incredibly short cooldown time that you can basically just keep firing. But the more you add, the more shots you're going to be firing at any one time. They've got a very low power drain as well, so you can afford to be shooting for a long time with these lasers, and in close quarters, they are devastating. Plasmas, however, slightly different. Now, you can just launch all of your shots like this and just keep firing. They do use a fair old bit of power, but as you can see, the time between reloads usually allows you to recharge it, or at least with 2. But you're no longer restricted to just 6 weapons. And there's a better bot that we can use to demonstrate this. We'll go over to the Solenopsis Invicta, I think. Let's jump into the garage, pick up the Solenopsis Invicta, and demonstrate with its enormous amount of guns. Well, I say enormous, many people have different things. Ooh, that's another thing. We could also check on the missile bots, because many missile bots have more than 6 missiles, obviously. Let's go and find the Solenopsis Invicta. Where are you, my friend? There we are. Fantastic. They're beautiful, wonderful in every measurable way. We've got a fair bit of P-flops still to go here. If I took off one of these guns, I could probably stick a shield module on this. That would just make this so ridiculously OP. The Solenopsis Invicta with a shield. Yes. But let's take this into the test mode. Now, different weapons probably have different energy requirements. That's the different marks of the weapons. I'll double check that for you in just a moment. But as we can see, everything is firing. And the more guns you put on there, the faster the fire rate. There isn't really a restriction anymore. You just fire fast and you fire with more guns, and it's glorious in every way. And we've half depleted all of our energy right now. So that is pretty fantastic. That's a single shot, and it's going in round robin. There we go. So all of the guns are firing in sequence effectively. Now we'll jump back to the mothership, and I'm going to switch all of these guns for plasmas because I really want to demonstrate the alpha strike damage of the plasma weapon, which is reasonably impressive at this point, but it is a bit power hungry. You will tend to, if you just hold down the trigger button on a plasma weapon, you will very quickly deplete your energy supply, and then your fire rate will drop to one strike every 10 seconds. That is due to the fact that it takes 10 seconds in total to restore your energy supply once it's been completely depleted. So let's, you know what, let's add quite a lot of these on you. Solenopsis Invicta can house many guns if I wanted to. I could even have some positioned in places, maybe. No, not quite. Maybe if I move this one just slightly further ahead. No, that's not going to work. Oh. That would almost work. And it would be almost awesome, too. We can probably build some structures just to support some extra weapons. But we're not going to really have enough for this. Oh, we are, actually. Okay, we'll just stick all of those on. Right, Solenopsis Invicta is now basically an artillery bot. Let's jump out there and see what this one can do. And if, for those of you who are wondering, is there actually going to be any combat in this episode? Yes, there is. I just wanted to demonstrate these things because I feel that just explaining the patch notes is not really going to do it justice this time. We actually need to demonstrate the patch notes. There we go. I am out of power! The more you add, the faster the fire rate. As I've mentioned before, this is probably more obvious with the plasma weapons though, because you could see how slowly I was firing with 2. With all of them, that is death. That is just death waiting to happen to a lot of things. That is absolutely ridiculous. In fact, the Solenopsis Invicta might work as a plasma bot, given that. But that's my alpha strike, or I can just fire as and when I get enough energy to continue shooting. Not really the ideal situation. I would prefer to charge up for a bit and then just unleash hell on something, hoping to do crippling levels of damage or flat out kill something, like a medic, for example. Because that is just scary. Right, now, speaking about medics, nano beams have changed in a fairly significant way. You can no longer do damage with them. That's it. Nano beams don't do damage. Also, they tend to pulse their beams rather than just having all beams firing all the time. That is another fairly significant change to the way that they've previously worked. Ah, I've deleted a block. I hate it when I do that. Let's get rid of all of you and work out what I deleted that I didn't mean to. It was you. You need to go back then. There we go. Right, let us grab some nano beams. We will take... What are you, my lovelies? We will take the 26 nano constructors. Except you're not going to be that color. You are going to be... Oh, actually, no, you may as well be that color. You'll be stealthed. As stealthy as some gigantic Medibeam can be, at the very least. The ones on the side, also stealthed. The ones in the middle, though, not so stealth. Let's pop those on there. There we go. There. And do we have enough? I wonder. Yes, in fact, we do. Now, you may be wondering, wow, that's pretty crazy. I can fit a lot of these. I never used to be able to fit that much. That is true. If you have a look at things, this CPU load has dropped. I think they've dropped a reasonable amount. Anyway, it's a little bit hard to say, but I'm fairly certain I could never fit this many on the Solenopsis and Victor. They have said in the patch notes that they rebalanced things. Exactly how they rebalanced it, they didn't go into great detail. But we've got a fair bit. I think it's fairly cheap compared to what it used to be. But the weapon heal rate is 10,000 per hit. Power consumption is 2.941 per shot. Single gun fire rate is 6.67 per second. Nominal fire rate is 10 per second, and nominal count is 10 guns. So at 10 guns, that's it. You're not getting any more benefit. And it looks like there is no difference in the cost there of the power cost. That's got a power cost of 1.486. This one has a power cost of 1.486. So there's actually no difference in power depending on the different marks of weapons. Now that is very interesting. Nominal count for the lasers is 6 guns, and nominal fire rate is 10 per second. The plasmas, nominal count is 6 guns, and nominal fire rate is 8.33 per second. Blast radius is 20.7 meters. Now, the way that plasmas work now, they've actually got a bit of a change to how they do damage, in that when they strike, they do more damage at the center of the blast than they used to, and they've got much more damage in their blast radius than they used to. Whether that's a result of the blast radius being bigger, or just more damage in the blast radius bleed off, I'm not sure. But Mega Plasmas themselves have had a fairly big change as well. Unlike the Mega lasers, they no longer fire 2 shots. Mega Plasmas just fire 1 very powerful shot. It is just a proper high caliber artillery shell now. But let's jump into the test arena and see what the Solenopsis Invicta does with Medibeams. I know it's kind of going against the grain here, Solenopsis Invicta. I do apologize about that. But I am thinking of actually sticking 2 Medibeams on the back of the Solenopsis Invicta. And the reason for that is the Solenopsis Invicta, being the brave, honorable soul that it is, aside from the bloodthirsty part, which enjoys, seeing its enemies driven before it and hearing the lamentations of their women. But having some Medibeams on the back would mean the Solenopsis Invicta, which can take a fair old pounding, could just sit in the front of a firing area, weathering the blow from enemies whilst healing allies behind it. But this is how Medibeams now fire. Very differently. Now, they're not actually doing anything because I'm not hitting. They still work with the right mouse button, though. We still fire that in the same way they used to. Now, I fire faster with the left mouse button. I fire slower with the right mouse button because it's looking for an ally to try and heal. But it doesn't seem that we consume any power whatsoever if we don't actually have someone to heal. So that's actually pretty useful to know. Okay, jumping back. Now, obviously, the new loadout system, that's the biggest thing. The fact that we can have multiple weapons on our vehicles, or multiple systems on our vehicles. And this can be accessed, as I mentioned, with Z. You can set everything up. Changing between them is as simple as hitting the number key corresponding to that weapon group. You will see the green bar around the corner letting you know if it's recharging. The way that you can switch, it's instantaneous. The moment you switch, you can use your new weapon. The cooldown is per weapon group. So if you've got a cooldown on one weapon, switch to another, you can start firing that one happily. So maybe you've got a couple of backup lasers on all of your designs so that in a pinch, whilst your plasmas are recharging, switch to your lasers and you can still have some pew-pew going on. Or maybe you've got some Mediguns on there, switch to them when you need them. The issue with cooldown when you die, at least in Battle Arena, because obviously if you die in Team Deathmatch, you're dead. But if you die in Battle Arena, you get your energy recharged, but your cooldowns do not. So if you've got a long cooldown item and you die, then you may still be waiting on that when you respawn, depending on when you get back. Now, with all of that said and done, I think it is actually time for us to take out some of our tanks and see how they do. Let's have a look. Are there any particular units that I wouldn't mind bringing along? You know what? I think the Armadillo is a prime candidate for some tweaks. Now, the Armadillo is practically at its level boundary, so I know that these things cost less now. There's not a doubt in my mind. We want, however, on this bot, a shield device, because it's a medic. It makes sense to me. We could put the shield device there. Or, well, I think so. I mean, we've got a big old radar jammer at the front. We don't really need one at the back. I could even burrow this in. There is a part of me that likes this idea. Likes it a lot, I tell you. Let's burrow this back. Oh, it's going to be awkward to see what I'm doing here, though. This is a big old module. Okay, let's clear out a bit of space back here. You can go back there. Actually, am I using... Yes, I'm using those. I need that instead. Boom. Can I not put that there? Oh, scallywags. I am limited on room. Armadillo, why are you so fat? I need space. Let's get rid of these. There we go. Right, what we'll do is we'll add these on the side there to cover that up. Right, can we fit this shield module in here? Yes, we can. No, what? Ah, scallywags. Yes, we do need a little bit more room. Let's get rid of you. And then slot you in there. Right about there. No. Scoundrels. I've already lost quite a lot of components. I guess I could do without some of these. As much as I like their aesthetic. Also, that makes a bit of room at the back. Pop. Really? Were they that cheap? The reason why I was surprised by that is I was taking these off expecting to have loads of extra CPU to put that on. But apparently, no. No, you don't get extra, loads more CPU anymore. That's the thing of the past. You guess those things are bloody expensive. Compared to everything else, that is. Okay, well, we've lost our jetpack. Rip jetpack. We will instead do a little bit of tidy up here, and I will bring you back when we are ready to jump into a battle. Okay, there we go. Right, I've had to sacrifice a few of the systems, but generally we still have the same number of nanoguns. We have a shield module, and we do still have some stealth and a radar. We don't really need a radar receiver. We don't really care too much where the enemy are, only where our allies are. So it's time for us to jump straight into a team deathmatch and see how this goes. Once this is done, I will be doing another battle with a mixed weapon vehicle, probably the Sonolopsis Invicta, with a mixture of plasmas and lasers, I'm thinking. But this is just a flat-out test of the new disc module, and also how well our healing modules work now with the change. Remember, we cannot do any damage to our enemies with this weapon loadout. We are completely in a support role. Now, it may be worth adding some lasers on this instead, just at the top, just to make sure that we can back things up. Oh, that's very nice. A mixture of plasmas and lasers there. We've got a Megabot. Now, the Megabot could have some plasmas if they wanted to. They've opted not to. They've just gone with stupid amounts of guns. Now, I imagine this has changed a lot of things, because those Mega guns are probably cheaper in much the same way that everything else is cheaper. And we'll be able to... Ooh, we've got an ally over there and needs some help, and we'll be able to fit many, many more on it. Wait, I'm coming. I'm much like preferring the sound of that. Wow, you just teleported. Oh dear, you're in some deep, deep issues. Let's get you repaired. There we go. This is using up my power fairly rapidly. Shield, please. Okay, no, that didn't help. Too much. Should have saved it. Flee! Go, go, run! I will continue trying to jump up to you. No, cannot reach you. Let's get those spotted. Oop, that's not so good for me. My shield module is not up and running just yet. Bad times. I'm going to hold this position for now. Try and get you up there and helping out. There we go. Now, that is another thing you'll notice, is you no longer lose your recharge from firing. You only lose your recharge at this point from taking damage. Ah, out of the way, everyone. No. Okay, that was a bit of a bad shot with that, but we'll see. There we go. Try and keep everything going if we can. That shield has such a long recharge and such a slow use. Come on. That's right. We've lost 2, the enemy have lost 2, and I'm fully repaired. As I said, you only stop your recharge when you take damage from the enemy, not when you do damage to the enemy, which is a big, big change. There we go. There's another one for you. We'll keep up the shields as long as I can. Drive the enemy around there. They've pulled away. There's no point in them being there, given that they couldn't do any damage to us. But remember, I cannot do any damage to the enemy. I can only help to keep my allies alive. I'm barely using my power here, so it would make a lot more sense for me to have some other sort of weapon system so I could use it. And shield is up. Go. Go attack. Let's get you back into the game. Rapid fire healing. Oh, wow, that's actually pretty good. That rapid fire healing is fantastic. Though that has used up all of my power at this point. I go through that very quickly. There is nothing I can do about the people flanking us. All I can do is try to keep you in this. Rapid fire! Nope. Be alive, my Megabot! You are the best of us. You will be the last of us. No! Shield! Oh, I haven't got enough power to activate it. Shield is down until it stops being red. Rapid fire on the Megabot. Come on. Let's keep you in this. You're all that matters. It's me and you. Stop jumping. Oh, you're making this easy on them. Okay, well that was a very interesting battle. The enemy absolutely decimated us, but it was really, really fun all the same. Wow, I got a lot of points there. Crazy amounts of healing. Great amount of points. I actually quite enjoyed that. Good game, everyone. Right, now it's time to take out an offensive weapon and actually see how that can do. Oh, I'm so tempted to take out the Solar Opposite Invictor just covered in plasma. But that would be boring as much as I think it would be effective. So, let's grab the Solar Opposite Invictor. We'll set it up with some weapons. So I do think the Armadillo would work better if I gave it a little bit more punch. So, before we go, are going to give you... let's go for the... Yeah, I think these would be the better ones here. And we'll just attach them on the side there. Ponk. And that can be number 2. Move that one across to the side. And then slot that in there. That's fantastic. So we've got a little bit of damage dealing capability. One last thing, actually, and something that I don't generally cover because I don't use Tesla Blades that much. Tesla Blades have changed, as you can well imagine. Tesla Blades now work by being turned on. You have to expressly turn a Tesla Blade on. If it isn't turned on, and then it does no damage. It isn't deployed. It's in its closed state. When you activate it by switching to that as your weapon type, the blades open up. They do not get depleted now. There's no ammo on them. Instead, they don't do all of their damage in one massive burst. They do damage over time. The longer they're in contact with the enemy, the more damage they do. So you have to drive up to the enemy and just hold it there. It's more like a chainsaw now rather than a sword is more or less the same thing. You stick it in, twist it, it's going to do more damage. But that's the kind of analogy they're going for. It's more of a chainsaw. You want to hack them and keep it there to keep cutting through them rather than just wallop them in one swing and then chop off gigantic bits of their robot. Which is an interesting way to do it, certainly. Whether I think it's the best way, jury's still out on that one, I'm afraid. I will get back to you as soon as I have some information. Right, we are going to have lasers there, and possibly lasers up here as well. Then I want swap to orange, and we want to have the plasma devastators. We'll have one there. This can go on the second group. Have two there. Have one up there as well. I would indeed like to have some of these on the side as well. Simply because... Awesome. And can we slot these in there too? Ah, alas. We failed just at the end. That is a little bit disappointing. Well, which of these is the most expensive? That's 30. This is 26. So that is the least expensive. 26. Yeah, we would have to get rid of a lot of stuff in order to afford to fit another one, unfortunately. So I'm probably just going to go without that. Instead, let's have a quick gander at what else we can possibly put on here. There's no way that we can fit any of the blink or the shield modules, alas. But that is only 18. I mean, I was talking about the possibility of doing this. I guess I could. Put one there. That is one, not two. Actually, one there maybe. I'm really not sure. I am not sure what would be the better position for something like this. But I guess having one somewhere prominent would be useful. You know what? Sure. We'll actually sacrifice one of the higher powered plasmas and go for a high power heal beam. Just in case we end up by ourselves. After wiping out the enemy, that is, but we've got a bunch of wounded allies nearby. We can just help them out a little bit with the heals. That may mean that we have enough for... do we have enough for these? Is the question that is on everyone's lips. No, not quite. That is a bit of a shame, but I'm sure we can live with it. In fact, we might even be able to fit two of these on either side. No, not quite. Ah! It's very awkward. I think I would actually prefer to have this, though. We'll go for the very cheapest, just one of, on the back here. More of an afterthought, really, than anything else. We could get rid of that, in fact. See, it would have such a limited usefulness in that position. Such a limited usefulness. That I'm really not sure it makes sense to do it. No. I think we'll just go with the fact that we've got a bit of room to grow, and I'll see what I could possibly stick on you in the future. I could put lower level weapons, but there's really not that much point. But alright, I am ready to fire, but given that, let's move you over here and make you black. There we are. Alright, so we've got 6 plasmas and 4 lasers. Those lasers may clip the plasmas, possibly. And that would be a bit of a shame, but we'll have to see how that goes. It is time for us to jump into a battle. Okay, welcome back. We are in a battle at long last. Took us a little bit longer than I was expecting there. Alright, so we are going to find out how the Solnops Invicta does with 6 plasmas and only 4 lasers. It has far less firepower when it comes to lasers, but it can deal out a fair bit of damage, at least forward, if it uses its plasmas. But it's going to drink its power like nobody's business. Wow, we've got a dinosaur bot! My God. I just realized something. I said that on team initially. Oops. But yes, we do feel a lot lighter than we used to. I can only assume that some difference to the weight of armor has happened. Ooh, there's a hell of a plasma volley coming down there. Alright, there we go. And fire. And we hit all of them. Glorious. Let's keep this position. Keep it locked. And I'm down a fair old bit. I'm down to 80%. So I'm going to bail out of that now. Swing back. Switch to our lasers. And try take you on a little bit. There we go. You are actually taking a lot of damage there. If we can get our ally up there to take them on, that would be glorious. Right, swapping back to my plasmas, we have a full charge. See where those scallywags are, shall we? Oh, someone is pinging me. Nope. Not gonna work. Sorry, but no. Hello. I refuse to accept your railguns. Get out of it. That's right, you can skedaddle if you want to. Don't blame you. Uh-oh. I'm not sure I just want to fight whoever that is. Oh, I do. In actual fact, I kind of do. Oh yeah, that is your main weapon gone. I don't really want to fight the whole enemy team, though. That would be a little bit overconfident of me. Nope. Ouch. Let's keep heading back. Now, without having to hold off on firing in order to regen, my lord, that has changed things. You know what? I really am getting annoyed. Get out of it. Go on. Skedaddle. Skedaddle, I say. That's right. You've bitten off a little bit more than you can chew, haven't you? Yeah, yep. No, 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 no. No, good. Just running away now. There we go. However, I've kind of put myself in a bad position in order to get that kill. Oh dear. Bad time. I didn't realize there was a flak right above me. Ouch. Ouch. If you don't manage to kill me before I get back on my feet. Oh yeah. You're doomed now. You had one chance, flak. One chance and you flubbed it. Solenops Invicta doesn't give people many chances, but you had one. You should count yourself very lucky. No, okay, fair enough. You've done exactly what I did. I can't say I'm too superior to you for that one, since you literally did exactly what I did. But I'm going to saw you in half with my laser beams. There we go. That was actually quite cathartic. I'm going to need to wait for my tracks to repair. Okay, we're on. Go, go, go. Solenops Invicta, they're almost all dead. We're going to run out of things to kill if you don't move. Oh, seriously? When my tracks repair... I'm literally trying to move right now, but they will not. Come on. No? Okay, fine. It seems that sometimes when tracks repair, they repair in the ground, and then you're just glued to the floor. It's remarkably frustrating, especially if, for example, I was otherwise completely healthy, but the enemy were nearby with... No, no, it's not letting me move. Ah, I've been turned into a stationary turret, and I can't see anything to kill. Ah! Aha! Fantastic. The Dark Gods took pity on me. Mostly Korn, because they was like, oh, what? You can't kill things if you want to? This just cannot be. Korn doesn't actually talk like that. I imagine Korn is actually quite metal. There we go. Okay, third highest in damage. It's not amazing. System Shock UK was... sorry, no, third highest on our team in terms of score. Not damage. In terms of damage, second highest on our team and third highest overall in terms of damage, which is a little bit better. Anatolius did fairly well. 7,822 damage. Highest score as well. Very nice, the person on the enemy team. I enjoyed that game. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Okay, it is time for us to have one more test. This one will just be in the test arena. I do apologize for the length of this episode, by the way, but there's been an awful lot for us to cover. These kinds of patch specials will tend to be a bit on the lengthy side. Now, let's go and find ourselves one of the... Yeah, we'll go with the flak track, and I'm going to bastardize you, flak track. I do apologize for this. I don't feel very proud of myself, but I need some more missiles. We'll take an extra 3. We're not going to need that many, but I don't like having too low a number of them, just in case I want to build a new bot. There we go. We'll place one there. We'll pop it there. And we will also place one here. Are they still super expensive? Yeah, they're still super expensive. So we've got 2 sets of missiles there. We could not fit a third, even if we wanted to. We could, however, fit some, moderate defenses, such as lasers or something like that, some sort of close-range defense. Yeah, sure, why don't we? And, in fact, you know what? I'm going to grab this type of laser, just in case I end up putting this on the shop. because I know that it's a little bit of a pain if you have to fork out Galaxy Cash just because someone is using a Galaxy Cash only weapon. We can't quite fit that one, and you know what? Well, no, that's probably a lot harder to destroy than the armor cube there, so we'll stick with that. But let's jump into the test arena and just see how it goes. This will be our last test. If this does actually fire a huge barrage of missiles, I may actually take it out for a quick battle. Right, that'll do. Fire some missiles! No, we're limited by power. Still only going to be 6 missiles. They actually take an awful lot to fire, unfortunately. A bit of a shame, but it does mean that our little missile trackbot is perfectly suitable for its job. Okay, well, that was worth checking out. But that is going to be it for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed, and you can expect quite a lot of Robocraft in the very near future. I am still planning on playing with Megabots in the next proper video, but I'm probably not going to build one. I'm probably just going to adjust the ones that we've got, or just test them out. In fact, before we leave, that's the very last thing that I can do. Oh my lord, there's so many last things that I could do right now. But the very, 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 very last thing that I would like to do is to jump in here, see how much P-flops we actually use compared to the fact that this is a Megabot. We've got a little bit of room. Or we could, with a little bit of work, adjust this to have a shield on it. But I want to just see if it can have a shield on it, because it's not a specific Mega component, so no. I need to buy one. Donk donk. There we are. Oh, this is the lowest I've been in a while in terms of money. Yeah, we can. We can actually put that component on a Megabot. Oh, no, your robot has components incompatible with Megbots. Ah, okay. No, we can't have it. That's a bit of a shame. Oh, well, that's not too bad, all things told. We'll pop that back there. There we go. Looks gorgeous as ever. The next thing I guess I'm going to do is start recording the next episode where we're going to be taking out these Megabots with different configurations. We'll test them as they are, first and foremost, but then start testing them with different setups, different combinations of lasers, and, of course, the plasmas. Now, the plasmas they're going to act very different because they only shoot one very powerful volley. One very powerful shell. So that's going to be a very interesting one to check out. But that is all for me for now. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope this episode has been informative and has taught you a couple of the ways that you can use the components, or at least a couple of the ways that they can't be used. And you will be joining me for the next. As ever, I welcome any sort of feedback. And if you want to see more Robocraft in the future, then do consider leaving a like on the video. But until next time, do take care.